Oh my gosh, okay. Act 2, hide and seek. This is crazy. This is like a free game, and like they must have spent so much time on it. Alright, my alarm blares into my ears, only to be swiftly silenced by my fist. My body switches into auto mode, carrying my subconscious self out of bed and into my uniform. As always, my bottles of pills sit on my desk patiently, waiting for me to take them and pick out my daily dosage of medicine. 17 pills a day. Seriously? Whoa. I didn't know it was that many. Before I know it, I'm opening the door to class 3-3, glad to see that I'm not the only one who seems to be a little hungover from the festival week. Every face in the classroom looks gaunt. With the festival now over, it's as if everyone's life dreams have been achieved. With nothing left to live for, the students have relied on instincts alone to guide them to class. Or maybe I'm just reading too much into it. Yeah, I think so. I slowly make my way to my seat, and it's only then that I realize why the room is so peaceful. The seats beside me are blissfully empty. The world's loudest interpreter for the deaf has yet to arrive. Oh gosh. Just as I'm about to sit down, the door flies open, revealing a resplendent Misha, drills bobbing. Oh, okay, yeah, I was like, her hair does look like drills. Drills bobbing from the dramatic entrance, and arms stretched towards the sky. Yahoo, it's all over. It would appear that not everyone is affected by the post-festival depression. The rest of the class glare at her, obviously thinking the same thing I am. Misha, still frozen in the doorway with her arms still in the air, nervously looks around. It's obvious that she senses the foul mood, but can't work out exactly what to do. Suddenly, she jerks forward. Hey! As she stumbles into the classroom, she reveals Shizune, arms still extended from where she shoved Misha. Why is she shoving people? ... Thanks for the entertainment, but shouldn't you two take your seats? ... Still slightly embarrassed, Misha takes a few seconds to realize she has to translate. Oh yeah, Si-chan says she's not happy with you ditching us last week. I'm happy about it, though. We were really busy. Is that so? What about the stuff I already did for you two? Oh, don't get mad at me. She says that only counts for council members. Since you declined, she doesn't owe you anything. That's fine, I don't want anything. Misha leans closer and whispers conspiratorially in my ear. Actually, I think she's just a little sore that you didn't spend the day with her. She's really thankful for your work last week, though. Seeing that she's being talked about, Shizune lightly wraps her fingers on her desk until Misha turns around to face her. I can't understand any of the fast-paced signing that's going on, but from Shizune's slightly embarrassed expression and Misha's poorly contained laughter, I can guess. While the exchange is happening, the door opens once again, but this time at a much more reasonable pace. Yes, Hanako! Oh my gosh, that freaking cartoon was so freaking cute. Hanako quietly enters the room and pulls the door closed behind her. Peering out from under her hair, she quickly scans the classroom. Our eyes meet, and she suddenly stiffens. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and then walks over to my desk. Good morning, Hasao. Morning, Hanako. You're a little late, aren't you? I was talking to Lily. About today. Ah, so you've got her list then. We can leave straight after classes in that case. Sure. I'm looking forward to it. Hanako briefly flashes her embarrassed smile at me, then hurries off to her seat. During classes, it becomes apparent that it's not only the students that are a little despondent after the festival. Muto simply gives us a list of exercises from the textbook and then sits behind his desk. I totally forget about the brief lunch period for a moment. Such is the banality of the day. It's mind-numbing, and everyone seems surprised when the bells signal the end of the lessons. Sorry, I keep looking over to my freaking hard drive to make sure that it's recording, because sometimes I have trouble recording this game. But okay. As I'm packing up my bag, Shizune and Misha flank and entrap me. Say, Hee-chan, it's not too late to join up. There's a lot of post-festival paperwork for us to complete. Sorry, Misha, I've got plans. As if sensing the cue, Hanako appears behind me, holding a small bag and trying to avoid eye contact with the outside world. Misha's eyes open up, then she bursts into laughter. Bahaha, you move fast, don't you, Hee-chan? We won't disturb your date any further. Ha ha ha. It's really not funny. Like, I feel like it's like kind of bullying. I don't know. Behind the roaring Misha, I see Shizune taking far too little interest in the scene. I might be taking this the wrong way, but I think she's deliberately ignoring me. And I'm fine with that. I feel a gentle tug on my shirt and turn to see Hanako's eyes fixed firmly on the floor. Gotcha. Shizune, Misha, I'll see you later. And I'm still not interested in the council. Spoil sport. No, not really. Y'all are jerks. Misha and Shizune retreat into the hallway, happily signing to each other. Got all your stuff? Let's head off. Floods of students pour out of the school gates and onto the road into town. It's a little weird. It's almost a scene from another high school, but the illusion fades because of the occasional wheelchair or missing limb. One thing I do notice is that nobody's alone. And as Hanako and I pass through the gates, I notice that she closes the distance between us. Not enough to be considered close, but she certainly isn't as her usual, just a little far... Oh, okay. She certainly isn't at her usual, just a little far position. I guess we're not familiar enough for her to get as close as she does with Lily. However, even though she has moved a little closer to me physically, mentally she seems to have traveled a mile. Her hands clutched around the leather straps of her bag to the point of whitening her knuckles, her head down and her mouth pursed closed. She almost looks like she's being walked to the principal's office for the first time. I try to stifle a giggle at the thought, but it's futile. What's the matter? I guess there's no point in hiding it. Sorry, for a second there, it looked like you were in trouble. What do you mean? Don't freak out. I think you need to relax a little. We're not going too far, and it's only students around, right? Right. It bothers me a little to see Hanako so worked up. And you do this every week, don't you? Yes, with Lily. Of course, with Lily. I wonder, has she ever left the school without her? It doesn't seem like much at a first glance, but Hanako's dependence on Lily is absurdly heavy. If she can't even handle leaving the school without her, how would she have managed to survive if the two had never met? Would she have found someone else to latch onto? And what drew her to Lily? Was it her lack of eyesight, or was Lily just kind enough to lend a hand? I wonder if anyone would have fit the bill. Aww. Well, I'm here. Besides, we're not going far. It'll be over before you know it. Hanako's knuckles slowly regain their color as she tries to hide a small smile, but the effort of that seems to prevent further conversation. We travel side by side down the winding road towards the town. The crowd of students thins as we continue along the sidewalk. Faster students rush ahead, and the less mobile ones fall behind, rarefying the crowd into nothingness. By the time we reach the convenience store, we're practically alone. Using me as a shield between herself and the attendant, Hanako moves through the narrow aisles, adding an assortment of items to her basket. Bread, milk, tea, thyme? What kind of convenience store sells herbs? Then again, nothing about this town seems normal, which may not be such a bad thing in retrospect. Everything is so different and uncomfortable. Dwelling on such matters isn't really an option. When I think about it, it reminds me of Hanako. No matter how much you try, you can't escape her scars. They still interrupt my train of thought when I see them. As much as I don't want to admit it to myself, I think I'm forcing myself to try to ignore them. Not that I'm scar-free myself. The jagged line down my sternum will never completely fade away. I just have the luxury of being able to hide it easily. But in a way, both of our scars remind me that we're all in this place for a reason. ... Hanako throws one last item into her basket, then sheepishly holds it out to me, along with a few banknotes. Could you please... It takes me a second to understand what she's trying to say. Oh, you want me to pay for this? She nods, but doesn't look up. I guess this task falls to Lily on the usual occasions. Sure, let me just grab a couple of things. Hastily, I grab a few essential items for myself and head for the counter with Hanako in close tow. The attendant gives me an indifferent nod as he scans the items. I suppose just ignoring us in one way to deal with the anomalies of Yamaku. They must get a lot of students here, being the closest store to the school. The staff must have their own way of dealing with us, or maybe they don't. Maybe it's only me who thinks twice about my unique schoolmates. Our transaction complete, Hanako and I head back onto the street. The road is pretty much abandoned now. The students that were heading out have already left, and nobody has started returning just yet. And with only the school ahead on the road, there doesn't seem to be anyone else around. The emptiness certainly reflects on Hanako, her arms by her side, each carrying a bag, her head no longer bowed, and back to the upright position. It's almost as if she were enjoying this walk. So why all these weird things? Mixed spice? Why would you need that in school? I sometimes like to make food. Well, yeah, so do I, but spices? There's a little more... Oh, okay. That's a little more advanced, don't you think? Not really. Well, I think it's cool. You'll have to teach me one day. Sure. She doesn't seem all that sure, but pushing the point doesn't seem all that wise. Okay. At the very least, she seems a great deal happier than she did on the walk down here. That alone makes me a little happier. Outside the girls' dorms, Hanako and I sort out the grocery bags with our respective purchases. In comparison, my things look positively plain. I tell you, you're putting me to shame here. No, I'm not. I'm only joking. I have a stack of homework that I skipped last week, so I must leave now. Will you be alright getting to your room? Yeah. Sure. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. No, she's gone. Okay, we part ways, and I return to my room. Piles of papers sit upon my desk, begging to be completed. With the entire ruckus of last week, I've barely had any time to catch up. I tried to keep up with my studies while I was in the hospital, but some of this stuff I've never seen before, even back in my old school. Totally unprepared, I pop the top on a can of drink and get to work. That's a weird way to say that. The days are really starting to heat up. This morning, I awoke covered in sweat. By the time the student body starts leaving their dorms for breakfast and morning duties, the sun has taken full effect. Oddly, that puts me in high spirits. It's not even 8, yet I feel like the day is going to be one of those pleasant, tranquil, warm ones. If I weren't at a school that considered every absence from class as a sign of life-threatening situation, I'd consider skipping the whole day and just relaxing in the school gardens. Yes, today will be a genuinely lazy day. For a second, I stop mid-stretch and consider the nurse's warnings about exercise. Maybe I should have kept up those morning jogs. Running with someone like Emmy might have been a little testing, but if I worked at my own pace... who am I kidding? I couldn't stick to something like that without some kind of motivation. It's not like I sit around all day. The walk to and from the convenience store counts as exercise, right? Especially the walk back up the hill. Yeah, it's no big deal. Compared to months lying in a hospital bed, I'm getting plenty of exercise. It seems that I'm not alone in my appreciation of the day. Nearly every member of the class is glancing through the window and into the tantalizing sky. Even the steadfast Shizune seems to lack her usual vigor for schoolwork. Misha, as brazen as ever, has even unbuttoned the top buttons of her shirt and is fanning herself with a notebook. I must have been staring, as she's now sticking her tongue out at me. However, she shows no signs of halting her efforts, nor is she trying to hide the fact. Okay, the lunch bell seems to catch everyone by surprise, and the class empties at a much slower pace than usual. The heat seems to be draining the need to rush from everyone. Well, almost everyone. Hisao? Hey there, Hanako, what can I do for you today? Hanako already has a lunch bag in hand. I don't have to be a detective to work out where this is going. And it's fine with me. Would you like to have lunch with us again? I brought enough for everyone. Awesome. You don't have to be so stiff about it, though. Ah, right. I take it we're going to the tea room? Please. Lily said she'll meet us there, so we should go ahead together. Sounds like a plan. This heat has made me pretty hungry. Hanako breathes a sigh of relief, and I gather my things together. As usual, the aura of the tea room is refreshing, feeling isolated from the rest of this world. Then again, the usual din of the school seems to be a bit subdued, most likely from laziness promoted by heat exhaustion. Hanako slowly spreads her food on the table, intently focusing on every little movement, as if she's trying to keep her mind off other thoughts. It's not much, but I can tell from her demeanor that she has prepared everything with the utmost care. I guess Lily isn't here yet. Should we start without her? She'll be here soon. Hanako struggles with the lid of the container of rice. Here, let me help with that. I take the container from Hanako's hands and try to force open the lid. Try as I might, it seems wedged shut. Let me guess, did you put this in while the rice was still hot? Yes, I was in a rush. I put the container on the table between us. I thought so. It looks like it's wedged shut. We'll need some hot water to get it open. But that could be a pain in here. We'd get water everywhere. Well, in that case, how about I contribute to today's meal? At the door, Lily smiles while holding up a bag stocked with various buns and bread rolls. I can't help but do the same. Since you two had a change of plans because of me, I thought I would bring a little something. Thanks, Lily. Here, let me get that for you. With a little guidance, Lily's bread assortment joins Hanako's riceless platter. I hastily make some tea to complete the picture. Well, I'm looking forward to this. As I take a bite, I notice Hanako... I notice Hanako trying her hardest to not look like she's looking at me. It's nothing special, but then again, I can't really complain. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to cooking for myself. Not bad, I guess. This is made... Wait, what? Not bad. I guess this is made with the stuff you bought yesterday? Yes. Okay. That makes sense. Hanako's eyes shout at me, begging for some kind of feedback. Well, it was clearly worth it. Thanks, Hanako. I wanted to show you this after yesterday. It's okay. I was just a little surprised at the stuff you were buying. Hanako's always liked to experiment when it comes to food. I think it's good, most of the time. While Lily's smile doesn't waver, the slight change in her tone tells me that things have not gone so well in the past. And it's not like Hanako has many people to sample her cooking. Hang on, was Lily waiting for me to go first? She didn't start eating until after I said it was alright. Okay, her cheeky grin tells me that this was a deliberate action on her part. I'll have to try and work out how to get one over on her in the future to make up for this. Well, it's good, and that's all that counts, right? Right. Lily, satisfied at not being the first to sample Hanako's creation, begins to consume the food in front of her. I find myself staring as I watch her chopsticks gently touch the plate, their tips delicately poking and tracing to quickly ascertain the positions of the food as she dexterously picks it up. One might think she were a child playing with her food, if not for the situation, though she does it with such care and thoughtlessness that it's obvious this is simply how she eats this kind of meal. Not wanting to miss out, I start filling up myself. Hanako takes a different approach, waiting until Lily and I have our hands clear before quickly snatching up her share. Before long, the containers are empty, save for the still shut rice container. That's so sad. Thank you, Hanako. That was filling. No, thank you for the bread. Yes, it would have been a disaster if not for that. You're both welcome. But now, I must be getting back. It's far too easy to be late after eating here. Yeah, I see what you mean. I think we'll just clean up here and then head off. Well then, good day. Lily leaves, her cane tapping away down the quiet hallway. Hanako and I quickly pack our things and stay seated, waiting for the bell. Together, we stare out the window and into the endless azure sky. If it weren't for the pealing of the bells, I would have sworn that time had stopped. The urge to skip class rises in my gut. I shoot a glance at Hanako, who shows no sign of moving either. Not just yet. The interval between the warning bells and the end of lunch bells passes in a blink of an eye. We really should go. People will freak out and start a search party if we skip. Hanako sighs. You're right. Slowly, she rises to her feet, and I follow suit. Silently, we make our way up the old stairs to the third floor and then to our classroom. At the door, I take point and open the door ahead of Hanako, bowing my head down in apology in advance. I'm sorry we're late, teacher. I'm greeted not by I'm greeted not by stern words, nor an angered instruction to take my seat, but simply by the silence created by 15 or so students trying not to laugh. Muto, ever tardy, has yet to arrive. However, the fact that Hanako and I have arrived together is blatantly obvious. Okay. Misha needs to shut up! It's not funny. And I don't understand what she's saying there, so... Make that about 14 students trying, and 1 student failing. The levers return. Wahahaha. It really isn't funny. Yeah, thanks. You can calm down now. I step through the door and realize that Hanako is firmly pressed against my back, hiding herself from the class. I hate Misha! Okay, no, I don't hate. But, like, seriously. She's just gonna make, like, Hanako freak out. With my steps coming closer to my desk, she eventually breaks from me and stiffly walks to her own. Her efforts to mentally block everyone's presence from her mind are written fairly clearly on her face. Quickly checking the door for any signs of the teacher's arrival, I make a trip to Hanako's desk and whisper in her ear. Don't worry about Misha. She's always like this. I enjoyed myself today. Don't sweat it, okay? Hanako nods her head behind her folded arms, but she doesn't show her face. I yearn to stay and console her more, but Muto picks that exact moment to enter the class. Oh, okay. To enter the class, halfway through his lecture, as if he started it in the hallway. Which, of course, is directly proportional to the charge, but inversely proportionally to the square of the distance. That didn't make any sense. It looked like someone just tried to make it sound really, like, science-y or math-like, and they just were like, here, put it in there. Okay, he's so engrossed in his speech that he doesn't even notice me sneaking back into my seat from Hanako's desk. While Muto's spiel rambles on, Misha leans over to me. The teacher may not have noticed your tardiness, but I did. That much is obvious from the show you just put on. I've been instructed to let you off the hook for today, but only on one condition. Oh, and what would that be? You have to help us this afternoon. I craned my neck to look over Misha's shoulder. I don't care. Tell him I was tardy. Like, jeez. I don't want to spend time with you. You're, like, pressuring me. Shizune is conveniently not making eye contact with me. Fine, just for today. I've already told you I'm not joining the council, remember? Of course, doing so would be considered... She looks down at her notebook, obviously looking for her place in her script. Under duress, and hence would be against regulations. How very strange of you to be considerate of the regulations now. Things should be done by the book. It's just that the book hasn't been written for every situation, so there are times when it can be ignored. And yet, you two wonder why no one else wants to be in the student council. Oh. Okay. It, like, made the music go quiet. I guess that was kind of mean. After poking her tongue out at me, Misha returns to her workbook, and we battle our way through the latter half of the school day. Before I can even stand up, Misha and Shizune have placed their hands on both my shoulders. Hey, I said I'd help out, dang. This is just insurance, Hisao. Insurance. Hisao? Hanako timidly tries to leave the room by circling around us, and I suddenly realize that this may be my one chance to escape. Oh, hey, Hanako, what's up? Hey, what makes you think you've got time to chat? Oh, relax, this won't take too long. Sorry, Hanako, you were saying? I was going to the library, and I thought... Hanako's thumbs dance around each other, and her eyes flit around the room, looking everywhere but at us. Sorry, Hanako, but Hisao has to come with us. He's got work to do. Oh, but you can help too if you'd like. So how about it, Hisao? I've done enough work for the council already, or what do you think, Hanako? I'm so nervous. Like, what's gonna happen? I'm going to, say, what do you think, Hanako? What do you think, Hanako? If we all help, it shouldn't take long at all. Hanako's fidgeting answers my question before she can even form the words. I really need to go. Well, that was to be expected. Looks like it's just me and the council girls again. It's easier to resign myself to another afternoon's work in the small council office. I'll catch up with you later, okay? Okay. Right. Now that the farewells are over, it's work time. That's so horrible. I didn't know. Ugh! Misha and Shizune frog marched me to the student council office, never once letting go of my shoulders. I feel a little bad for ditching Hanako like this, but if this is the price of getting Misha off her back, so be it. So then, what are we up to today? Debrief. Huh? Isn't that supposed to happen after something? Yep, we have to collate all the information from the festival so that Shi-chan can debrief the teachers. They're so annoying to me. Oh my gosh, because I knew people like this when I was in high school. Like, I knew people like this, and I knew someone like Hanako too, and I don't know, I actually talked to them, and they were fine, so I don't know. Shizune drops a large pile of paperwork on the desk in front of me, and smiles succinctly. Oh, but I don't mean like... Okay, wait, I'm gonna clarify. I don't mean that I knew somebody who was deaf, who was an interpreter, or who had scars on their face. I'm just saying, like, in general, I knew people who were, I don't know, I guess extremely obsessed with, like, the school life and stuff like that. And they were in student council, yearbook, all these different things, and they were kind of irritating to me and bothered me a little bit. And then I was saying that I knew someone like Hanako who was just extremely, like, shy and had social anxiety. But I got along with them because I have social anxiety, but it's not as bad as Hanako's, so I don't know. Yeah, okay. Clarification is over. You need to sort out these into 2 piles. One for financial stuff, like receipts, one for feedback, one for positive feedback, maybe one for things that look like they could be problems next year, one for problems that probably won't be able to be fixed. That's a few more than 2 piles. Huh? Oh, right. Yeah, I thought it would only be 2 piles, my bad. Right, while I'm doing this, what will you two be doing? Well, we missed lunch because we were collecting all of these reports, so we're gonna go get some food. Why didn't you just sort them out while you were collecting them? Thankfully, my self-defense mechanism kicks in and prevents me from opening my mouth and further worsening my situation. Okay. How's that fair? I was fretting over the unfair distribution of work so much that I didn't notice that Shizune had kept on signing. If it weren't for Misha's outburst, I probably wouldn't have noticed at all. Shizune seems to be delivering a fairly long stride of commands to Misha, and none of them look pleasant. Reaching a conclusion, Misha signs briefly back to Shizune, and then sits down at the desk next to me. Shizune waves to the both of us before disappearing out the door. What was all that about? Shi-chan was worried that you'd get it all... Oh, okay, that you'd get it all wrong unless you were supervised. And since she can't tell you how you're messing things up, she's making me stay. Aw, bummer. I wanted to go with Shi-chan. But she's gonna bring us back some food. How good is that? Misha's flippancy is out of this world. From down in the dumps to the top of the world over some calories. It's hard to imagine how anyone could operate at that level. Well, it could have been worse. So what are we supposed to be doing? Collation. I gathered that. Well, let's just start making piles. We'll work out what piles mean later. Right. We start to separate all the papers into increasingly complex piles. At first, it's just simple categories: financial, feedback, incident reports. Then they split apart into the good and bad reports, and further still, until it starts to look like we've just thrown the papers onto the desk. This is hopeless. Huh? Why? We're doing what we were told, right? Yes, but it looks like we're just making a mess. No, I think we got a lot done. Shi-chan will be able to work out the rest from here. So I think we can stop about here then. It's almost as if Misha's common sense left the room with Shizune. Still, there's no point in arguing. Anyway, what's the deal with you and Hanako? Deal? You were hanging out with her today, weren't you? Have there been any fireworks, any gossip that you're withholding from me? If you told me about... Oh, wait. If I told you about my own circumstances, it wouldn't be gossip, would it? I guess not. We're just friends, I guess. Why are you so interested? I thought you and Shizune didn't like her. It's not really like that. You know Shi-chan and Lily don't get along well. And since you can't really get Hanako away from Lily, we don't like to talk to her much. But that doesn't mean that I can't be concerned for her. What is there to be concerned about? Well, she never hangs out with anyone else, right? It's no good, Hee-chan. If Shizune and Lily dislike each other because their personalities are different, then I hate to think how Misha and Hanako would get along. I mean, in one way or the other, we're all in the same boat here, right? Well, I guess. This one time, when she left class halfway through, Si-chan went to the teacher and asked what was going to be done about it. He said that every student has their special needs, and that Shi-chan shouldn't worry herself about it. Hanako never does any group work, she just runs off. Isn't that enough to be concerned about? I guess you're right, she still hardly says a word when we're talking. Well, that's more than I've been able to do. Si-chan and I both tried when she started, but she got scared and ran off. I consider telling Misha that exactly the same thing happened with me, but she seems caught up in thought. Listening to Misha without Shizune's influence is interesting. I think she needs to realize that people here don't care what she looks like, and that she can trust us. If she could, I'd feel a lot better about her. I think this is the longest I've watched Misha without seeing her sign. When she's with Shizune, she's constantly waving her hands about, explaining the world to Shizune. The amount of effort probably places a strain even on an agile mind. And let's face it, Misha isn't the world's brightest spark. Well, I'll keep an eye on her for you. But you should probably apologize for earlier. I don't think Hanako is cut out for that kind of joke. Oh? Oh. I didn't even notice, sorry. Don't say it to me, just mention it to her. Alright, first thing tomorrow I'll speak to her. Good. Oh my gosh. I guess I'm not gonna say it. A cacophony from the door heralds the return of Shizune. I guess she can't really tell how much noise she's making. Oh! He said it for me! Oh, Si-chan, you're back. Shizune appears completely laden with goods from the convenience store. There was some surplus left from the festival. Since this is officially festival business, I've splurged a little. Nice idea, Si-chan. 10 points. Is that really allowed? ... For someone who refuses to join us, you seem to take an unhealthy interest in the politics of this council. Okay, gosh. I shall punish your insolence by rationing your portion of the feast. Fine, I get it. Misha slides into the multiple stacks of paper... Oh, okay. Not into them. Misha slides the multiple stacks of paper to one side to make room for the avalanche of food Shizune is spreading out. As I watch my hard yet misdirected work become wasted, I realize that it's little wonder why these two need help. The convenience store meal isn't overly tasty, but at the very least it's filling. Thanks for helping today. Most of the time we just make up the reports for the staff. This year we can at least make up some relevant headings on the debrief. Are you sure this isn't a corrupt organization? Not at all. We're by the book. It's not our fault if the book isn't specific enough. I thought that this was the definition of corruption. You think too much. You know what? You're probably right. Anyway, I must be off. That is, if I'm allowed to leave. Your work has been deemed sufficient. You may leave. Well, thank you. You know, if you're stressed the free meal side of things over... Oh, okay. You know, if you stress the free meal side of things over the endless workload side, you probably end up with more results. You might just have a point. We'll think about it. And think about what we talked about. You don't have to tell that to Shizune if you don't want. What? Oh, right. I'll try to see her tomorrow. Good night, Hee-chan. Night, Misha, Shizune.